tonight I am going to be interviewing Marcy. Marcy, you have your picture, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Do you see this? That was Marcy before. This is Marcy after using this technology. So Marcy, what I want to hear from you tonight is what was going on with you before LifeWave. I know it's been a little over 3 years. Yeah. So for those of you that are thinking, oh, I'm looking to use this for 30 days or 60 days, Marcy here has a story to share with you with over 3 years. What was going on in your life that made you look like that picture?
Isn't that awful when you really think about it? Well, in 2017, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and I had 9 months of chemo, 6 weeks of radiation, and a double mastectomy. And by the end of it, I was blowing up from the steroids of chemo, like really a Michelin, you remember that Michelin tire guy or whatever, just, and yeah, and I was in pretty bad shape. And then literally I thought to myself, well, at least it's all over and I'm going to be fine. Now I'll rebuild my body. Just to find out 6 months later that a piece of the breast cancer decided to come back poking out of the skin where one of the expanders were. And honestly, I was really, really devastated. I was sitting in my lazy boy chair, depressed, not really sure, after doing all of this, I think I was in PTSD, just this anxiety about all of it. And that's when Dr. Rhonda Donahue came knocking on my door, and she brought to me the X39, and she literally brought me 10 of these. And for some of you that have never seen these, and Dr. Stacy will explain more how it works, they look like Band-Aids. And I literally laughed at her. I'm like, I'm sitting on my lazy boy chair and you're bringing me these Band-Aids. And she said, there's so much more, and please put them on. Well, I love and trust her so much that I did what she told me. She said 12 hours on and 12 hours off. She said, put them right below the back of the neck and just put them on. They will activate your stem cells, make more, and reset them to a younger, healthier state. And my guess, Marcy, you need that right now. So I did what she told me to do. I put them on. Well, the first 2 days, Dr. Stacy, the taste of the 9 months of chemo came out of my mouth, the taste of the metal. I remember telling my friend, if this lasts more than 2 days, I have to take these patches off. And it was so weird. By the end of the second day, the taste went away. It detoxed it in me in 2 days, Doc. Oh. Then by day 5, I remember feeling, it was so weird. We were going to one of my girlfriend's kids' wedding, and I was driving around, and I didn't even really mean to, but I just started feeling right here. And it was so soft. I couldn't stop touching myself. Wow. Right between the thumb and the forefinger, or the pointer finger. And I would touch it over and over. And I think what it was doing, doctor, was rebuilding the collagen. I just felt soft. Mm. But then the miracle in day 10 for me was that PTSD, the post-traumatic stress of this reoccurrence, just went away. I really didn't know if I was living or dying. I'm just being honest. I didn't know then what was going to happen to me. And I didn't care because I felt 20 again in my mind. And I literally was in my lazy boy chair going, what am I going to do? I feel good. I feel like I'm 20. I love to create in business. I think I need to share this. And I literally called up Dr. Rhonda and I said, Rhonda, let's build this. Let's share this with everyone because I'm feeling good again. And I think we can help a lot of people. And we just started sharing it. We wrote a list and we started sharing it. That was 3 years ago. And we've helped like 40,000 people now in 3 years. And I say that because you don't know what God has in mind for you. You think that you're going one way and all of a sudden, boom, shift, right, Doc? You end up going another way. And so, and it's interesting because at that time then, I did have a surgeon. They cut out the spot that came out of my skin, and I went back into remission for a year on X39 stem cell activation patches and the surgery. And then 2 years ago, I had another piece pop out of my skin right underneath my breast. And this time I wasn't afraid. But I did decide to add to my protocol something called Eon that, as much as I know, reduces inflammation and super good for fast growing cells, as is X39. And I also added something called glutathione, which I'm sure you'll be able to explain to everybody better than me how those work. But for the most part, I believe that it was helping to detoxify me, because I think I was really obviously toxic. Obviously, if I was having so much cancer pop out, call me weird. And I went to my my cancer surgeon, and I said, please cut this out again. It was just small. And and the weird thing is it would, I didn't know quite what it was at the time. It looked like a pimple, and it would come open and shut, and it would get bigger and smaller and bigger. I've never said this to people, and smaller. And you know what I did around it? And I still thought this was a pimple at the time. I put around it X39, Eon, and glutathione. And pretty soon it would get even more small. I'm like, oh, the pimple's almost gone. And they would get a little big. But you know what I mean? It was very interesting. So when I went and had it tested, it was cancer again. And that's when I asked for the cutout. And the surgeon said, this is in your skin now, 3rd time, is all over your body. It's a waste of time to cut this out. And I begged for my surgery. And she did say yes, and she cut it out. And then I went to my oncologist, and my oncologist said, well, we got to watch you over the next week to 2 to 3, because it's going to be all over your body. I said, okay. Every week I'd come in and we'd look at my body to make sure, because we were sure it was going to be all over. And guess what, Doc?
What?
It never went all over my body. And I've been in remission now again for 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that is the story. People have been asking like the progress of all of this. And here I sit. So, doctor, what is going on with this? I'm just so happy to be alive, to be honest.
Okay, well, let me just say right now, I am not a medical doctor, nor am I your doctor. I am not an oncologist. I have a PhD in integrative medicine and a PhD in functional medicine. So very much holistic. I would have been the person saying, let's do all these other things besides chemotherapy, radiation, and surgeries. But I understand why you did what you did. Because obviously,
why were you not in my life sooner? Because it has consequence. Darn it.
I understand. Trust me, I do. Obviously, you know, I lived that with my daughter when she was 4. And I know the fear that they put into you, and you feel like you don't have any other options. You're going to die if you don't do this right now, right? Cut yes. and radiate and kill with the chemo. And so I understand that feeling from a mother's point of view, not as my personal, but with family members as well too. So thank God Rhonda found this technology and brought it to you, and you have utilized this over 3 years now in your wellness journey, right? In your health and wellness journey, because, you know, we don't know what the future holds, and you can't say, well, because you use these patches, your cancer hasn't come back. Of course, we could never make those claims, no. ever. But you know, it's great to hear that you went down the entire conventional road, right? You did everything conventional. And with my daughter, I did everything conventional initially because they told her she's going to die. Like, you have to do this immediately or she will die. And then, of course, when I learned things that I learned over the course of the year, we left that situation and went completely holistic, which is where we stayed for the last 15 years. And so for you, your journey the last 2 years have went down a very holistic path where, you know, you and I are texting back pages of books and books to get and, you know, different types of holistic protocols and things, which is so amazing, right? There's a whole nother world out there if you're willing to dive in and learn it. And so this technology has been a massive part of your life the last 3 years. Yes. And probably, you know, like I said, I can't say, but probably is instrumental in the reason why you are where you are right now. because of what it does and how it helps the body to repair and regenerate and restore, like you said, your cells back to their young, youthful, healthy state.